Donald Trump, has he gone nuts? I mean, this man who said he'd make America strong is now being played by Russian President Vladimir Putin, even shamefully now repeating Putin's lies to smear Ukraine's president and bring him down. And I think this is the time for everyone who supports Trump, as I have, to speak out, to save him and the US from this disgrace if we can, and from a danger. Last night, as Russian missiles and drones once more hit Ukraine, killing civilians, Trump put out an hysterical post calling Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator for postponing elections during this war. He said he was a dictator without elections, and he warned Zelensky, better move fast, accept a peace deal, that is, or he is not going to have a country left. Trump also implied Zelensky had ripped off American military assistance. And this comes after a couple of days of Trump telling other lies against Zelensky that can only have come from Putin or Putin puppets like Tucker Carlson, like Zelensky having almost no support in Ukraine.
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating.
4%? And this lie that Zelensky, not Putin, started this war.
You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
And Trump even demanded that Ukraine pay America effectively crippling reparations like it was a defeated enemy or thief. Trump said, give the US $750 billion, $750 billion, half of Ukraine's revenue from natural resources, ports and infrastructure, as the price of US defence. Zelensky had to refuse this kind offer, this demand, because although he himself had suggested a deal, it was on the proviso that Trump then guaranteed Ukraine's security against more Russian aggression, which Trump had not in his demand. And this is all so disgracefully wrong. It's also Putin's spin. Oh, it's Ukraine to blame. Ukraine's leader is a crook and a Nazi and who's got to go. Ukraine's got to give in. Now, Zelensky doesn't want to get into open brawl with Trump, but he did blame Putin for Trump's spin.
We understand where it's coming from, Russia, and we have evidence that these figures are being discussed between the US and Russia. Unfortunately, President Trump, whom we deeply respect as the leader of a nation we highly value, is also caught in this disinformation space. I would like to see more truth from Trump's team.
Now, before I get to why Trump is probably doing this, let me nail his lies here, because they are lies, or maybe he's just grossly misled by that ridiculous son of his, Don Jr., or the likes of Tucker Carlson or whatever. Zelensky's popularity, it's not 4%, it is 57%, according to the latest poll, which means Zelensky is much more popular in Ukraine than Trump is in the United States. Trump approval rating is around 49%. Now, it's true, Zelensky did postpone elections, just like Winston Churchill postponed elections in Britain in World War II, for the obvious reason it's almost impossible to hold secure elections during war, with so many soldiers fighting in particular, and it's also dangerous. It's divisive, it's a distraction of everyone, including the leadership, and in this case also gives Putin the chance to rig the result like he's tried in so many other countries. And as for America's assistance to Ukraine, that's actually helped America. A lot of that money has actually gone to American companies to build advanced weapons for the United States, with Ukraine then getting the old stuff. But the most disgusting perversion here is this idea that Ukraine started this war. Ukraine, 3 years ago, next Monday, when Ukrainians woke up to the shocking news that Russian troops were invading, pouring in from 3 directions, bombing all over the country, missiles everywhere. They'd already taken Crimea in 2014. Now we're coming to take the rest. So why would Trump be telling such obvious lies and threatening and bullying and smearing Zelensky like this? Now, of course, maybe it is yet another case of Trump just trying to get a good deal. Say outrageous things, settle for something different, less. But it could also be about pride. Trump promised in the election that he would stop this war in a day, he even said. In a day. But he can't make Russia stop right now. Vladimir Putin, the war criminal, the economy is in crisis, and the stock is really going to collapse in on itself by the end of this year. But it's still too strong, too desperate, too merciless to be forced to stop right now. But Ukraine is much smaller and weaker. It could be crippled by Trump. It could be bullied into giving up a lot of its territory to Russia to stop this war. Until Putin, of course, comes back to the rest. And then Trump, at least in the meantime, has got his headline. I have to say, though, what Trump is saying at least seems to embarrass some of his key officials. I mean, you don't hear these lies from Marco Rubio, his Secretary of State. And when General Keith Kellogg, who's Trump's special envoy for Ukraine, arrived in Kiev yesterday to talk to Zelensky, at least he sounded much more sympathetic.
We're going to listen. We understand the need for security guarantees. It was very clear to us the importance of sovereignty of this nation and independence of this nation as well. And we're going to, part of my mission is to sit and listen and say, okay, what are your concerns? Where are we at? So we can go back to the United States, talk to President Trump, and with Secretary Rubio and the rest of the team, and just ensure that we get this one right.
And there's a reason why many of Trump's team and a number of Republican congressmen are saying, uh-oh, it's because what Trump's saying is not just wrong and immoral, it's also a danger to America and the world. If he were to give in to Russia and to Russia's ally China, if he were to punish a country for simply defending itself against invasion, like Britain defended itself in World War II, if he were to do that, China would conclude that America would also dump Taiwan or any other ally, like he now seems to be contemplating dumping Ukraine, betraying Ukraine.